Lists. List is also one of an important section of call center. In list section, we can add a list of numbers for any campaign. In case of an inbound campaign, a list is automatically created for every new campaign. Let's try creating a new list and see what all we can do in this section. Click on add list. Give a name. Select the campaign. You can select it as test_Mohan_3. Give a start local time. Maybe we can give 000001, and calling duration can be 23:59:59, which means the list will be active for 24 hours. In case if the agents are doing calls in preview mode, if you want to allow them to add leads to the list, you can tick it here. Otherwise, you can untick. Wait, you can put it as 1. Wait generally comes into a picture when you have multiple lists. Let's take if you have 10 lists to be dialed, and if you want to prioritize which list has to be dialed first, in this field you can assign the weight. Accordingly, the list will be dialed out. Let's take if you have multiple groups for that respective campaign. Let's take if you have some group of agents that you have already created, those will appear in this drop down. Currently in this campaign there are no groups. You can set as a default disposition rule. Time zone. Display the time zone code here. If you want, you need to tick it. Otherwise, if you decided to assign it to a campaign where it has multiple time zones, tick it here, and you can select the country. Select it as United States. You can see all the different time zones in that country. You can select all the time zones you want and push it to right hand side, and among them you can select one as a default time zone, maybe Indianapolis EST, and click on save. Your list is successfully saved. Your list is test 6. So now let's see what are the different buttons which are associated with that respective list. X, delete. If you want to delete this list, you can just click on this and it will ask you whether you want to delete it or not. Again, if you want to delete it, press OK, else click cancel. And if you want to edit the list, click on E, and you can edit the fields whatever you want, and you can update it. The next thing is T. T means you can export the reports from here of that respective list. For example, you want to have a dump report of all of it. You can select all the fields of your header from here, push it onto your right hand side. You can, in case, you can use the filters as which agent and start date, end date. And you can even set the start time, end time, and you can even add certain MySQL queries if needed, like phone number greater than or equal to, some such thing. And when you click on export report, you can see a report got downloaded. And next section is C. This is a section where we upload the lists manually. For example, you can choose a file from here. And click on upload. The header of the list can be seen in the drop down here. You can map name to first name, and the other mandatory field is phone 1. You can select phone 1 to phone 1. In case if you want to map the other things, you can map it here. You can map city to area and state to state, and you can click on save. But if you want to select the time zone, you can do it from here. So for time zone, you have to map it with the column time zone and click on save. And the other way, let's take, if you choose to do it on a area state mapping, you can say map the area to area and state to state, so that based on this mapping the dialing out will happen accordingly. You can click save. This is called merge rule. This is quite helpful in case of your day-to-day operations when you're uploading a list. For example, you want to merge the state code and the person's landline number. So let's take your code number is 0124 and the telephone and the telephone number is 4793900. So this section will actually helps you to concatenate both the fields and create the new column. For example, you need to select the destination here. Probably you put it as phone 3 and you select the columns which needs to be merged and click on go. Prefix rule. This section helps you to add any prefix in front of any of the columns. For example, if you want to add a 0 in front of all the mobile numbers, give a name to the rule as test 5 and select the column where you want to add a prefix phone 1 and add a prefix 0 and click on go. The next is R, which is rescheduling. Click on R. If you want to reschedule any of the calls based on their disposition, you can do it from here. For example, you can select rescheduling type as reschedule callback numbers, or you can also select based on their disposition. Let's take, if you want to reschedule all the busy calls and call party hangups, you select it and tick on fresh calling with a strict and click on reschedule. But in case if you want to reschedule after a certain period of time at a specific time, you can select the time here, untick the fresh calling and you select the date here. Maybe if you want to do day after, which is 21st, and you set the time here, so the calls are rescheduled at this hour. And the next is RE. RE is reassigning the leads. From the top filters you can actually search the results, and based on that you can tick those leads and you can assign it to all the available agents for that campaign. And next is the activate deactivate button, which is a toggle switch as seen in campaigns. If you want to activate the campaign, you can do it from here. If you want to deactivate, you can do it from here. Leads button helps you to see all the leads which are there in that list. So currently there are no leads in this list. And click on S. The next is headers. If you click on headers, the header file will be downloaded here. If you want to download the header files, click on the header.